We are here with Adam Wexler, who is the CEO, is that right, of Rankem?
Correct.
Excellent. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate you having me on.
First of all, I wanted to clarify what Rankem is for our listeners and how does it work?
Basically, Rankem is a crowdsourced ranking platform with a specific focus on music. Basically, we allow all the music fans throughout the world to rank their favorite songs from all their favorite artists. And then subsequently, we aggregate all the results and it turns into a resource that just about anybody can use, whether you are the most passive music consumer or the most diehard music fan around.
Yeah, and it's been launched in mid-February as a closed beta. And how long did it take you to develop before that?
So we initially got to work back in August of 2007, and basically, I guess it took us about 18 months to really get it up online. To get myself to recruit a team of guys that really I didn't really have much to offer monetarily speaking.
Yeah, sure.
But they believed in the vision. And that's how I sold it to them.
How has the user reaction been to the service? I mean, was it similar to what you expected, or have you noticed elements of user behavior that surprised you in using the service?
Yeah, I mean, feedback is absolutely a priority to us, and one of the reasons we released it was actually we released the private alpha back in late February, and we've kind of kept it in quote unquote the private alpha. It's invite only right now, but just as an example, our homepage, once you log into the site, when we initially launched it back in late February, I'm a big believer in simplicity, and Jeff Jarvis came out with a book recently called "What Would Google Do?" And I've always had a kind of similar mentality. I have yet to have a chance to read the book, but I imagine we're thinking along the same lines, because I said, what would Google do in this situation? So we basically created a homepage, which was a search engine with basically a blank white box, and you type in an artist, a song, or an album, and you search our entire database. Yeah. But we quickly realized that people would sit at their computers and could not come up with anything. Yeah, so we needed to give them prompts, and as much as many artists as there are in our database, far too often when you're presented with so many different choices, you can't decide on one. Yeah. So basically, over the last 3 or 4 months, and this is from gathering all kinds of feedback and just some intuition on our part, we decided to give the fans and give the users different prompts, like I said, which have included such things as the most popular artists on our website, and then we have a feature which is basically the 20 random artists that we update every week or two.
And it's basically a bit like Spotify in the UK. It's quite a big company at the moment, and they have a very simple interface, but they still try and give users some sort of prompts, like, what's the newest release they have and what are the most listened to tracks, because people still need that kind of grounding to try and actually understand the service.
Absolutely. And it's funny, Last FM, which is based out of London, we just noticed recently that their homepage and their search engine, it kind of resembles ours. And I really wouldn't think that many Last FM users are really on our site, because we've specifically kept our user base local for the most part, intentionally. And
because you're based where? Sorry,
we're based out of Athens, Georgia.
Oh, cool.
It's very well known as one of the greatest music towns in the world, and I say town specifically. It's not a city so much so, but anybody from REM to B-52s to the Widespread Panic. And nowadays we've got some phenomenal bands coming out of here, such as the Wigs. They've been on tour with Kings of Leon, and Kings of Leon is probably one of the biggest bands in the world at the moment. Drive-By Truckers, Perpetual Groove, just all kinds of great bands have come out of here, especially in the last 25 years. And we're trying to be the first on the digital side of things, I guess you could say.
Do you have any game plan as to when the company is going to go public?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the reasons, as I kind of alluded to before, we've been at this now for, as of 2 days from now, it'll be a full 2 years actually. And it's been entirely 100% bootstrapped to date. So we had, for that reason, and many more, we have chosen to kind of scale it, focus on remaining local, like I
Sure.
just said a second ago, because we've got a great foundation, a great base within Athens, because this is a music community. Everybody's all about music around here, and we just feel like we can, if we tap into all the resources that are available, we could create a pretty solid foundation for ourselves, which is what we've done over the last 3 or 4 months. And we're just now getting ready to really broaden our reach.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to go about it in terms of, as great as the internet can be in spreading a viral campaign, I think we're more going to attack it geographically.
Yeah.
So this is absolutely the first thing first interview I've done across the ocean, you could say.
That's really cool. It's a bit like Facebook, I guess. They started out as a person-to-person network within a campus and within a local community, and then managed to expand externally. So
absolutely, they went Harvard to all the Ivy League schools, which were all in the Northeast of the United States, and then they went throughout the country. So we want to have a similar strategy. I'll tell you another thing to note on that is we just recently launched a project on Kickstarter. I don't know if you've heard of the platform, but it's another startup. Where they're another crowdsourced startup.
Yeah.
It's basically a crowdsourced funding platform specifically meant for all types of creatives, whether you're a musician, whether you're an artist like a painter or an explorer, whatever it may be. If you have some kind of it's basically a way to raise money for your cause.
Yeah.
And I actually manage a band, help manage a band on the side out of Nashville. They're called the Minor Kings. In Nashville, Tennessee, that is. And I initially looked at the site in terms of helping those guys out, but then I took a step back and I said, you know what? We've got our own fan base ourselves, just like any band could say.
Sure.
We've got plenty of people that would love to support us, but it's a matter of just asking them. And we launched our project about a week ago, and we've already hit our initial goal of $1,000 within a week. And now we're setting our sights on much larger in the 30 days that we're going to have the project up.
Yeah. And I was going to mention that actually, because I read that on your Twitter feed a couple of days ago. So I'm going to throw the links to that Kickstarter project in the show notes if anybody listening wants to go and contribute to the cause. Yeah,
that'd be great. I mean, we in turn we have different sort of, you could call them giveaways, but they're not so much giveaways. They're just kind of forms of gratitude and appreciation for pledging money to support what we're doing, because we truly believe this is something that everybody can benefit from, like I said, or at least that was our initial intention when we first got going.
I read somewhere in a blog probably that one possible avenue for monetization was affiliate sales from the site itself. And on the other side, I was wondering, do you think companies, larger companies, would actually be willing to pay in order to access your API and, have access to the rankings you're producing?
Oh, absolutely. That's part of the long-term strategy. I think the initial revenue stream, it's kind of a built-in revenue stream, is like you said, from affiliate sales, and it's one of our goals to become the ultimate transaction driver, as we like to say. Basically, we want to become the number one affiliate retailer for just about every online music retailer out there. Yeah. And we initially launched with the 3 biggest ones in the U.S. being iTunes, Amazon, and eMusic. And I'd say sooner than later, we're going to hopefully, I know 7 Digital is a big one out in Europe. Yeah. And that covers a good bit of our catalog that I guess we currently don't have covered. Sure. So that's just one of the retailers that we want to have included sooner than later.
Yeah, and Rankem is kind of a broad name, which is great because it can end up not applying just to music, but to expand a bit more into movies maybe, or something along those lines.
So you've already figured this out to a degree, huh?
To a degree, yeah. Just because the name of the company doesn't actually have music within it. So it could expand into ranking different sort of stuff.
I'm a big believer in maintaining a myopic focus, and music has always been my longtime passion, and that's kind of always been where my head's at.
Sure.
But at the same time, just like you said, I mean, considering how in the big scheme of things, considering how simple our premise is,
yeah,
and just our ranking system, you can just about replicate this with countless other genres out there. And I think TV and movies are at the top of that list as far as where we could expand the platform.
Yeah, sure. How do you find like trying to raise funds in an area that is not exactly, renowned for VC funding to digital startups? Is it harder than working, for example, in San Francisco or LA?
Absolutely. No doubt in my mind, we would have taken on outside funding had we been out there, and in turn that would have accelerated our development tremendously. But we're not going to complain, and we've come up with creative ways to kind of get by.
Yeah.
And one of them being the Kickstarter project. That's just the newest one. Outside of that, I mean, in all honesty, this site probably wouldn't have been possible considering how little I've spent. Considering how little I've been able to spend, this site would have not been possible just even 5 years ago when Facebook was getting started, because they had to go out and get actual physical servers, as well as not only the servers, but they had to rent the space to put them in.
Yeah.
Whereas I didn't have to worry about any of that stuff, fortunately.
Yeah, sure.
And somehow, some way, as I've told people recently, this blows people's minds typically, but somehow, some way, I've still managed to spend less than $1,000 in over 23 months of development.
Wow.
In this company.
That's awesome. Well, I recommend everyone that's listening to go and check it out. I mean, I know it's a closed beta, but hopefully if somebody emails you, maybe they'll be able to get a pass into the
site. We have a request and invite form for people that have not currently been invited. For one, everybody that's been invited, one of the ways we're growing, everybody that's been invited gets a couple invites to hand out to their friends and other people that could be interested. But then we also have a request and invite thing, and assuming people fill that out and it's something that really catches our eye, we'll be more than happy to send an invite.
Cool. And so what's the most exciting thing you've got coming up in the next few months for Rankem?
I guess basically our newest development, and you kind of alluded to it before, there's a lot of different directions we could go with how this could benefit just about every sector in the music space, being anybody from the artists to the labels to even terrestrial radio stations. And on that note, I'll tell you, our core technology is all about this ranking system, and basically giving people the ability to choose from a list, drag and drop their favorites, put them in order, and then we aggregate all the results. And we're basically setting our sights on terrestrial radio and artists in the same kind of form, to give them the ability to tap into, as it relates to terrestrial radio, tap into their listener base. Say, hey, give us your 30 to 40 song playlist, because that's all the radio stations have these days. Yeah. We're gonna get your listeners to go in there and make it completely interactive, and it's gonna be a two-way street. It's never been a two-way street. It's always been a one-way street when it comes to radio. And they'll take a random request here and a random request there. But now we're going to give them the ability to tap into the collective requests. And in turn, they can have their top 8 at 8 or whatever they may be able to get out of it. But that's just one of our most recent pursuits at the moment.
Cool. Well, I really hope that you manage to raise more funding for the company, because it's really working well from what I've seen at the moment. And I look forward to hearing from you soon, and so you can let me know how things are going.
Absolutely. I really